This beautiful plant stand that you see behind me is one of my favorite places that I have ever grown succulents. And there's a lot of reasons for that. If you don't know, my husband actually built it for me. So I had an idea in mind and he was able to put this together, and it is lovely. It's in my kitchen, so I see it every day, all the time, and it is so bright. It adds so much light to our house. So a lot of times we actually don't even turn the overhead lights on, and so we always know when it's now 8 o'clock is when the lights turn off because it just gets super dark. But one of the main questions I get asked about this is how much does it cost to run these grow lights all day, every day? Now, granted, I don't run them all day. I run them for about 13 hours a day, and I do run it every single day of the year. So it's very consistent. The lighting's pretty much always the same. Sometimes I shift it up and down a little bit depending on when we're most likely to be in the room and how much natural daylight we're getting outside, but pretty much always 13 hours a day. And there are 6 lights in here. They're 4 feet long, and each shelf has 2 lights in it. So it is very bright. I believe each of them are supposed to be rated for about 2,500 lumens. So very, very bright lights. And I want to show you how I keep track of how much it costs me and then show you the actual cost of running these lights. One other thing before I tell you that is I wanted to talk about the cost of the lights. Now, most of the time people think that grow lights are super expensive to buy. These are regular LEDs. They are not grow lights. They are just a typical bright white LED strip light, shop light. And when I got them, they were about $80. And I'll put a link in the description for the ones that I purchased. The price may be different, that happens. But I felt like it was very reasonably priced for how long I run these lights. So I've had them for a little over 3 years now, and I run them all day. I have had to replace 2 of the lights, but the other 4 have been really great. They're still running. And even then, having to only replace 2 after 3 years feels really good to me for how long these lights are on. So now let's talk about the actual running cost of the lights. All right, if you see back here, this white plug is where the grow lights are plugged in, and they're all daisy chained together. And then it's plugged into a timer. It's actually a smart timer on the wall. And that smart timer, if I go over here, you can see it has a power switch on it, so you can manually turn it on and off. But it also has an app that connects to it and allows me to set a schedule for these plants and also to manually turn it on and off. The original smart plug I used, that was its only function. It was just schedule it and manually turn it on and off. This particular one actually also measures the power consumption. So that has been incredibly helpful because then I can see how much power it's using and therefore how much it costs. Here I have the app for the plug opened up, and I'm not going to walk you through how to set up the app and the plug. There's instructions for it with the plug, and I will link to the exact plug that I'm using in the description. There's a lot of other ones out there available, but this one seemed like a good price and did what I wanted it to. So as you can see here, I have the walnut plant stand, and it will show you the usage. I like to look at a monthly basis. So you can see here, each month of the year, I was running it for longer, and then there is some fluctuation here because sometimes I'll turn on the lights to run videos or just have them on because we like having the lights on. So there are some fluctuations, but you can see it costs me roughly $10 a month to run, assuming that I'm running it for 12 to 14 hours a day. Now there is technically some fluctuation in pricing because the cost of electricity in Arizona is much higher in the summer months than in the winter months. However, I just took my bill for the year and averaged it out and put that in the app so that it was consistent throughout the year. So then really all you're seeing here, the fluctuations are just the amount of time that I have left the lights on. So I feel like for having this beautiful piece of, I feel like, art in my home with all of my plants on it, brings me so much joy. It's absolutely worth $10 a month. I do have 2 sets of these exact lights running. I have a smart timer, but I don't have the one that tracks the energy usage on that one. I figure they're the exact same lights, the same number, it would be the same. So between those two, I'm looking at about $20 a month. And then I have one other set of lights that I run that is, they're smaller lights. They're only 2 feet, and there's a total of 8 lights. And those are also running for 12 hours a day. So maybe $30, $35 a month. And that's assuming that all of this is accurate. I have no idea for sure, but it's at least a good baseline to get a feel for how much this would cost. Now again, this set of lights that's costing me $10 a month, those are 4-foot lights, and there's 6 of them. So 6 4-foot lights, and it covers a pretty substantial amount of succulents. If we open up the Succulent Tracker app, I can actually show you how many succulents are on that area. It's actually going to be easiest for me to show you the ones in my office because there's less areas, but you can see on the bottom shelf of my office I have 14 plants, and so you can see here to kind of get a rough idea of size. And then there are 29 plants on the middle shelf, and I believe 24 plants on the top shelf. So about 50 plants, or a little over 50 plants, and it's, you know, costing about, like I said, $10 a month to run these lights. Now the walnut plant stand, we'll scroll down to that one real quick. There's, I have it divided up into 6 different sections in the app just to make it easier to manage. So 21 in the bottom left, and 19 in the bottom right. And then the middle left has 44. This is where I have all of like my itty bitty succulents that are like propagation size. This is pretty much real life, how big they are. So there's a lot on that shelf, and actually it's less than it used to be. I've cleared some out. There are a few bigger ones like this, and then the middle right has 13, top left has 12, and the top right has 11. So I've cleared these out. There's a lot less succulents than there used to be. There's probably about half as many as there used to be, but I wanted to give them a little breathing room and have a little bit less for me to actually take care of. So that hopefully just gives you an idea of how many succulents are on there, how much it costs to run, so that you can get a feel for what it might cost you to run grow lights of your own. Now, this is a little bit messy, but I just wanted to give you a quick view so you can kind of get a little bit better visual than you're getting from the app on how many succulents are in here. It's a lot of succulents. And then you'll also see some of my herbs right here that are not on the plant stand. They're also not doing great, but we try. So that is all of the plants that are on that plant stand. And as you can see, there's definitely space, especially in some of these upper shelves, where I could add a whole bunch more if I wanted to. And I may someday, but not at the moment. So there you go, about $10 a month to run this beautiful plant stand and give my succulents enough light to keep them super colorful and compact. Honestly, it feels really reasonable to me, but something I also want to point out to you is you don't necessarily need this many lights or this big of a light setup. Depending on how much natural light you have, you could probably supplement with grow lights, or if you just have a handful of succulents, you can just get a basic desk lamp with a really bright LED bulb and put that over your succulents, and that will help substantially and also cost a whole lot less to run. So $10 a month, I feel like it's probably gonna be a lot for most people. I know there's a lot of you out there who have way more succulents than I do inside, and you probably have a much higher electric bill with that. And then there's gonna be a lot of you who have quite a bit less succulents, and therefore your expenses when it comes to grow lights would be a lot less. Also, I have virtually no natural light in here. It's bright enough that if we're in here during the day and we don't have the lights on, like, it's fine. But my succulents are up against this wall, which is on the opposite side of the room from where the natural light comes in. So they're really not getting any natural light from windows. So everything that they're getting is from these grow lights. So I have been super happy with this setup. I love having the grow lights on a timer. I love being able to control it from my phone, and also just, you know, check in and see how much it's costing, how much electricity I'm using to keep these plants alive. Hopefully you found this helpful, and if you use grow lights and know how much it's costing you to run, I would love for you to add that into the comments. I think it'd be super fascinating to see throughout the world what it is costing people to run grow lights in their home and for roughly what size of setup. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.